So today's Glossary video, we have Josh Bregman, who's the COO at CyGlass. CyGlass are a leading provider of network-centric threat detection solutions. And today's topic is network defense as a service. So Josh, first of all, thank you for joining me today.
Sure thing, Johnny. Thanks for having me on.
So to get this started, what do we mean by network defense as a service?
Sure. So network defense as a service is CyGlass's cloud-based network detection and response offering. I joined CyGlass 4 years ago as part of a team that was taking some very advanced artificial intelligence and machine learning technology that came out of the US government and was basically hired to turn it into a commercial SaaS-based offering. So what we learned as part of commercializing the offering was that there was a need for small, medium enterprises to be able to take advantage of this sophisticated technology, but in a different way. So that a lot of the solutions in this space, in the network detection response space, are appliance-based. They're heavy. They're extremely expensive. They're extremely complicated to operate. And so what we've built with CyGlass NDaaS is it's easy to deploy. It works with existing hardware, software. It's all done up in the cloud, and so that you don't have to install a big expensive appliance. So all of the processing is done up in the cloud, and then what you get out through our web interface are alerts when something suspicious or dangerous is happening in your network, and reports. And both of these things, we spent a lot of time making the product simple, easy to use, explainable AI, right? The type of thing where the alerts and notifications that come out can be understood by the types of cybersecurity people that are working in small, medium enterprises, or by our managed service provider partners. And so at the end of the day, that's network defense as a service is affordable, it's easy to use, it runs at cloud cost and cloud scale. And we built it really for the small, medium enterprise. Try to take some of the sophisticated technology there and make it available and affordable.
Fantastic. I mean, you covered off my next couple of questions, which were why is network defense as a service so important as part of a all-round security infrastructure and sort of posture?
Yeah, I mean, I think part of the reason why this was a underserved market is that networks are complicated. They're really hard to understand and sort of see through a security lens. And so everybody monitors their network, but typically they monitor it just for like performance and troubleshooting. But the reality is, if you're not monitoring your network from a security perspective, then you're susceptible to some very damaging cyber attacks. So if you look at something like a ransomware attack, right? Studies say that ransomware, though we think of it happening quite suddenly, attackers are on the network for sometimes 40 and 60 days. Mm-hmm. And so when an attacker gets on your network, they don't really know where the valuable information is. So if you think about the goal of a ransomware attack, it's to take information that you would pay money to get back and to capture it and then basically hold you for ransom. Well, that's not easy to do, right? Particularly when you break into a network and you don't know what you're looking for. So companies need to scan, they need to probe, and they make a lot of mistakes along the way to finding the things that they want. Then once they find the things that they want, they need to exfiltrate it, encrypt the backups, and then ultimately issue the demand. So all of that takes time. Now, if you're looking at what's going on in your network, then you knew what was normal on your network, you would be able to see all these things and you'd be able to stop this before something bad happens. But the reality is that a lot of this sophisticated network detection technology had been sort of out of reach for medium enterprises. And that's why we sort of construct the product in this way. So to sort of get back to sort of answer your original question, why is it so important to be monitoring networks? It's because understanding what's normal on your network is actually the best advantage that you have against keeping yourself safe from advanced cyber attacks.
So you've covered, Josh, there that the CyGlass solution covers for small to medium enterprise solutions. That's who it was built for. What What would you say to the smaller sort of organizations in terms of how they can look to protect their network?
Yeah, so I think that CyGlass as a tool is not expensive to own, and it's not expensive to operate. And so anything that you can do to just get an understanding of what's going on your network is going to give you an advantage in keeping your network safe. So we talked about notifications, which let people know who are monitoring your network that something is wrong. That's very important. But one of the hard problems in this space, particularly when you're talking about artificial intelligence and machine learning, is having a low false positive rate. So we spent a lot of time making sure that when alerts pop out of the system, that they're only things which are really mapped to a threat, that are truly urgent, and we're taking action. And so even for small companies, CyGlass typically finds one or two interesting things a week that need to be investigated. So it's not like a lot of work on an ongoing basis to keep your network safe. The other thing I would say is we've got a set of reports that help you track your progress over time. So again, even if you can't get to every alert, which you should, but even if you can't, we're monitoring for a set of things. We're raising and prioritizing alerts. And so really, if you can spend, even as a small company, an hour a week just making sure your network's safe, we think that'll have an outsized return on that cybersecurity investment. And keeping your network safe, keeping your network hygiene up to date. These aren't like sexy sort of cybersecurity things, but practitioners will tell you that knowing what's supposed to be on your network, making sure all your machines are labeled, making sure there's no rogue devices, which are the types of things that you can do in an hour a week, is going to have a real impact on your overall cybersecurity.
Mm-hmm. There's the old adage that it's easier to take £1 off a million people, or dollars in your case, than it is to take $1 million off one person. So just all guys consider that.
Absolutely. These cyber criminals are ruthless. And by ruthless, what I mean is they are actively scanning on the network for vulnerabilities. They know that in the wake of COVID, there was a number of people who rushed to sort of spin up VPNs or other remote working systems. They haven't necessarily been patched. They're not necessarily being monitored. And so cyber criminals know that infrastructure is out there. They're actively scanning on the internet. And in fact, the leading cause of ransomware last year wasn't phishing, it was insecure RDP. So RDP is a remote desktop protocol. It's a Windows protocol. It's an easy way to go through a firewall and get on a machine. And unfortunately, in many instances, this was just done in an insecure way. Mm-hmm. And so that is an attack vector that criminals are finding in abundance as they scan and probe on the internet. In fact, there was an article by Brian Krebs, who's a well-known security researcher, and what he was basically saying is that there are so many companies out there where attackers have already gained a foothold that they're literally now outsourcing the actual ransomware. So they're already in networks and they're just waiting to have enough cyber criminals to come and take ransomware. So what that says is you don't want to be an easy target. Right? What you just want to do is mount a sort of sufficient cyber defense. Some of these are, which really means spotting these things early, even before spotting a ransomware attack. Like, is there traffic going to blocked countries? Is your traffic going to known command and control sites? Are people using VPN resources properly? Is there anomalous activity on your VPN? These are all sort of easy things that CyGlass can help you find. Mm-hmm. That you certainly want to do prior to having a bad thing happen. And if you're doing these things, you're going to avoid being a sort of easy target for some of these really damaging attacks.
Mm-hmm. So your key points would be that the simplicity and the visibility that it provides.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, we've spent a lot of time taking a very sophisticated and powerful piece of technology that came out of the U.S. Government, Defense Department, and intelligence agencies. We've put it up in a SaaS platform, which runs up in the cloud, which means that there's no additional hardware, software that needs to be installed. The traffic travels securely and in a GDPR compliant fashion up from your network to the Amazon cloud, which we have an instance that's running in both United Kingdom as well as in the EU. And then it processes the traffic and you get alerts and reports. And so it's a very affordable, very easy offering. It complements the rest of your cybersecurity toolkit, and it's going to give you an added layer of protection that's going to keep you safe from advanced attacks.
Well, fantastic. I think, Josh, some really interesting points there and really useful information. So thank you again for joining me today.
Johnny, thanks so much for having me on. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for watching today's video. If you have any questions around the topic or would like to discuss the topic in further detail, reach out using the contact details and we're always happy to help.